Aloha, my friends. No idea where we're gonna go with this one. I just feel the energy out here. Hanging out with Mother. Earth and Father Sky. And just feeling it. This would make a great meditation video, but Temple of Stone seems to be handling that pretty well. I've actually made some videos like he makes, and if you're into meditation and just tuning in to Gaia without any human interruption, let us say, and you might check out his channel, Temple of Stone. And we've got a crow for a cheerleader. The crow is like, yep. I got somebody trying to convince me that I am an Anunnaki or Anunnaki, or however you want to say it, ancient humans, that I am their creation and a slave, just being created by them itself makes me a slave and also traps me in the physical world, of which there's no escape. Okay. Interesting. See, I'm not just going to, I think that's one thing we have to learn. We're learning. Is you need to be able to hear what you might at first think is the most insane thing you've ever heard, and not just let your ego rise up and say, oh, that's bullshit, that's ignorant, fool, dumbass, idiot, and just walk your merry way thinking you've got it figured out, because your ego was able to get you to shut your mind down. Right? So we've got to learn to not function this way. It's not the best way to function. So instead of doing that, I now do the opposite. So now I'm going to think about that. I'm an Anunnaki creation that is trapped in the physical world. Now, I don't believe that after having somewhat processed it. I've come to realize, well, I already knew going in. In other words, I already knew before I heard the statement that I'm not trapped anywhere. Because if you have source dwelling within you, if you have an activated soul, and you're aware of your connection to the all, and you are now existing as the is, then how could I ever say that I'm trapped? I mean, that's another way of playing the victim role. See, if I agreed with him, I would then have to play a victim. I would have to play that role. I would then be thinking, yep, I'm stuck in a physical world on an endless cycle of reincarnation that I can never get out of or do anything about. So therefore, I might as well live the rest of this lifetime depressed and on some kind of meds or something. Right? Because I'm a victim of the Anunnaki. They got me. Right? But let's let's still entertain it, though. You know what I mean? Again, we have to be slow to dismiss stuff. Slower, at least. So in other words, what if that was true at one time? Or what if it is partly true? Like what if we were created by the Anunnaki as slaves back whenever that happened? But does it still apply? Would that still apply today? Would things that applied in the Iron Age and before apply to the Age of Aquarius and after? So we got to consider all these things, because we've come to realize that not only are we multidimensional, but we are in a multidimensional reality as multidimensional beings. So there surely isn't just one way to look at anything. And if we've been looking at everything that way, and I think we have, then we have really limited our own perception and limited our own options and choices. So we have to evolve as, I'm going to use the C word, the cult word, the culture word, culture. We've got to become an earth plane culture that is able to hear anything, discuss anything. Because after all, no matter what you're hearing, it would just be words and symbols, or words as symbols. And so how could anybody ever allow themselves to have some sort of visceral, physical response to hearing another human utter words, some words, in a particular order? It's just words. It's just sounds. You should be able to hear anything. You should be able to talk about anything. In other words, you have to grow up to where nothing sets you off. Nothing triggers you. Nothing gets you upset, right? Because again, that's placing blame on something else. Oh, you made me so mad. How can anybody make somebody so mad? Now, if they're, physically in your space poking you with a sharp stick, I could see, yes, that then I would agree with you. Yes, that person is making you very mad because they're making you. But if they're just speaking words and making sounds with their mouth, that's not the same thing as them poking you with the sharp stick. But even further than that, it goes back to, we have to be able to hear anything. In other words, like the people caught up in the religious beliefs, there's certain things they just cannot hear. At least it seems like that's changed a lot already, though. I mean, I think we already dipped our big toe in the Aquarian waters, and then we then we got in waist deep. And at any moment now, we're just going to take the dive. We're just going to fully plunge, right? And so that has changed the dynamic of the entire reality already. I don't know if you've noticed or not. If you're on my channel, you probably have definitely noticed. But if you're just an NPC, still stuck in the Piscean religious belief structures, you may not be noticing very much at all. What you might be noticing is what I'm talking about, that why is it that you can't hear certain words and certain sentences that don't have the tendency to set you off in some kind of a way? So they're triggering something within you, and whatever that is within you, it must not be processed. Because if it was processed, it wouldn't be like, somebody hit one of your valves and a bunch of steam started spewing out through that valve. So you're under pressure. You got a lot of internal pressure. And it seems like, the NPCs in the world, or just the world at large, or the people in the Matrix, that's where they're at. That's why people are tripping. That's why people will freak out and grab a gun and go and do whatever. If all, I don't want to get into that, whether it's real or not, or which ones are real or which ones aren't. Surely we all know by now that there's so much deception afoot in the physical realm that you got to question everything. And see, this comes back to what I'm talking about. We've got to be able to question anything without being triggered or getting stupid about it. Maybe they are fake. There's the people out there that would think, oh no, nobody's ever faked any kind of disaster. The government has never tried to use guilt and fear and all that to try to sway your people's minds. No, they don't do that. 9/11 was totally legit. Everything they said about it is the absolute Bible truth. Really? I mean, if that's where your mentality is, then I feel for you, because you're going to have a hard time getting out of the labyrinth that you have walked yourself into. But the rest of us realize we've got to be able to just observe, not be moved by any of it. Because it might come to be realized later that most of it was the illusion that I've been saying that it is anyway, and others. In other words, all the people that have been saying that this external realm is really an illusion anyway. And so if the whole damn thing's an illusion anyway, and there's nefarious NPCs afoot in it, then of course they would be up to doing trickery and deception and trying to control the collective consciousness through these various kinds of things, whether it's just reporting on negativity constantly on the news, feeding you the mainstream narrative of a world that is in turmoil, that is in lack, that is at the brink of war, that is sometimes overheating and sometimes overcooling, and there's global this and global that when we're on an earth plane to begin with, and so we're going back to the moon, but seems like we really maybe never went to the moon, but now maybe we'll go to Mars this time, and the geocentric model is sound, yet the flat earth model seems to be even more sound. And can we even discuss this stuff without getting triggered, without having some sort of reaction, which is serving which serves to, what does that do? What does that reaction do? What does the triggering do? It keeps us stupid. It keeps us clinging even more tightly to our beliefs, instead of realizing, why are we holding so tightly to these beliefs? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe you are wrong. It's okay. See, that's fine. It's okay to be wrong, because that gives you a chance to correct. What do you want to cling on to things that are completely wrong all the way to your deathbed? And think that, well, I'll find out after I die? You won't either. You'll be right back here. And then you'll probably cling twice as hard to your belief systems next time. Because every time you fail at this, it is easier to fail the next time. Everybody knows this. That's, if you used to smoke. I used to be a smoker. Every time you try to quit smoking, and then let's say you go 3 months and you do good and then you fail, it seems like it's harder to quit the next time, and it's easier to fail the next time. And if you've done this 150 times, So yeah, bring it all. Say it all. Let's hear it all. Bring it all out. Put it all on the table. Let's get it all out in the open. And then let's look at it and examine it and not be triggered by it or moved by it. I'm not an Anunnaki slave trapped in a physical world that endlessly loops forever. Why? Because I ascended. I got out. How do you know? Well, how do you know I didn't? I know within. But how would you know I didn't? Like, can you go inside me and know what I know inside? So then it just becomes opinions, right? Your opinion is that I'm trapped in a physical world that loops endlessly and I'll never get out of it. And from your position, my opinion is that nope, I've already gotten out. There's no getting out for me. I got out. I got out. I'm already out. I'm out right now. Well, you're still here and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, see, we need to discuss a lot more stuff then. We need to get even more on the same page. Because we're still not understanding where each other's coming from exactly. And I'm not talking about the person, about the Anna. I'm talking, this is just in general for the whole thing. See, a lot of times I think I might be talking to the collective conscience more so than, some one single person or the people on my channel even. Or the people that watch that are on my channel even. So anyway, I'll leave it at that for now. Thanks for watching, those of you that do. Thanks for being here. I've always find